Morning, everybody. Hold on, my man just texted me. Let me get rid of him. Okay, got rid of him. Don't want to really get rid of him. Just in the text message right this very second. So yeah, there we go. Yeah. So here we are, second day of Conscious Coffee, December 2nd. I feel like I'm doing like some sort of journal log or something. I don't know. I got to get back into the routine. Hold on just a second. My laundry. Hey, it's real life, right? I gotta do laundry too. And it's Wednesday. And Wednesdays are laundry day for me. They are laundry, they are vacuuming, they are clean the kitchen, they are get your shit in order girl day. That's what Wednesdays are to me. And today is a yummy lunch day. yummy lunch day. So I've got a lot to cover and probably not enough time to get done everything that I want to get done. But today I was talking to Addison and I take a walk every single morning, and we just bounce around different things, different ideas, workshops, and different things that are going on in our lives and all that kind of stuff. And yesterday I kind of made mention of that, something that happened 6-7 weeks ago now is that I ended up breaking up in a 3-year relationship. And that got me thinking about, because she's going through, we've all got all this stuff going on, and we have clients that have stuff going on, and I have friends that have stuff going on. And I was thinking back around love and breakups, and there is this whole belief structure. I'm just kind of diving in today. We're not getting all the what's going on in Kendal's life. It doesn't freaking matter, right? You guys caught up yesterday on that. If you didn't catch up yesterday, well then look at Conscious Coffee yesterday if you want to know where in the world I have been over the last God knows how many months it's been since I did Conscious Coffee consistently. But here we are. Here we are. So that's on yesterday, December 1st. But I was thinking about breakups, and we get into this concept, this belief structure that when we sever a relationship, when we break up, when we separate, whether that is a divorce or somebody that we are dating or somebody that we're just seeing or a lover that we have and it's casual, no matter what the relationship is, it's like we have to be mad at the other person to have a breakup. We have to actually have a whole bunch of shit happen to have the breakup happen. And the reality is that that's not the truth. Like, if you really think about it, how many times have you concocted, or that you feel like somebody concocted, a tale just to break up? And because they were just simply over the relationship. And, yesterday I was talking about relationship alignment, and how important it is to be aligned in relationship. And why would we want a relationship, especially an intimate relationship, that is not aligned to our core, that is not aligned to who we are? It doesn't make any sense to try to hang out in a relationship that we're not aligned to. Sometimes we can be aligned on the front side because we come into a relationship in the wound, because we come in when we're in a hurt space, we're in this space where we're not solid in ourselves, and then we're attracted to somebody else who's not solid in themselves, that has similar grounds and everything to come in on. Or maybe there's a lot of, people that have affairs and then end up actually dating that person or even marrying that person. And they come in because their sexual appetite is not being met, because they don't feel like they have connection, because they don't feel certain different things. And that connects them, right? Sometimes numerous reasons can connect us on the front side of a relationship. Often those reasons fade out because the relationship is filling a void inside of us. We have these gaps, these holes that we have. A relationship does a great job of making us feel complete, making us feel solid, making us feel like, wow, I feel all this, and we feel like we're getting it from the other person. But what relationships are actually doing is it is opening us up to all the love, all the beauty, and all the completion that we actually have inside of ourselves. We just don't see it when it's just all lonesome us over here, because we have been trained to believe that we need relationship to be success. We need relationship to feel certain things. But the best relationships come from those that have found their joy, their happiness, their fulfillment, their completion, their core right inside themselves, right? They know who they are. When you have two people that come together that know who they are, That's how you get a strong, stable relationship that can be based completely in unconditional love. Now, there's always conditions in love. There just always is. We are conditional human beings, okay? So even our most unconditional state is still going to have some conditions and expectations on it because we are human. But that's a whole nother story, okay? Whole nother story. When we get to a point in any relationship and the relationship has served its time, I look at it as spiritual commitments, contracts that we have with different individuals. Sometimes we have those with our children, with our parents, with our friends, with our siblings, with different associates at work, different people that we work with and everything. But there's these spiritual contracts that we have with people. Where we really see spiritual contracts come into play is in our intimate lives. We have somebody come into our life and they fulfill this contract with us. Maybe this is simply contract because, I'm going to just use, as always, I'm going to use my life and share those pieces with you guys, and as kind of like what I have seen and experienced and kind of my revelations over the course of multiple relationships, right? So number one, we look at that if you have a relationship breakup, that you're not a successful relationship. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit, right? Wouldn't you say that a successful relationship is a relationship that has taught you something, a relationship that has opened you up, a relationship that has allowed you to expand, explore, and help you to clarify who you are, what you want, what you don't want, so that you can go on and live your best life? That's a successful relationship. Most relationships are successful as long as we get the lessons, as long as we are woken to those lessons and can actually see them. And when we try to hold on to a relationship because we believe that the only way a relationship is a success is to hold it past its term, it's kind of like we're saying, oh, I have a carton of milk in my refrigerator. It's really great, organic, cream top, raw milk, best of the best from the best Jersey cows. Oh my gosh, it cost me $15 for this gallon of milk. It came from this. I've had it in there for, it's like 3 weeks past the expiration date, but it's the best milk. I've got to hold on to it. Yeah, I open it up. It smells like, it doesn't smell great, but it is the best milk on the planet. Oh my gosh, did I tell you about the Jersey cows that this milk came from? And did I tell you this and I tell you that? But we go there and we're like, well, it's not really serving its purpose. It can't serve its purpose anymore because it's gone rancid. It's exceeded its date with us, right? It does not, we need to dispose of it. Do we get mad at the milk for spoiling? Do we get mad at the milk for being so damn good and it not having the shelf life that we thought that it had? Do we get mad at the milk for, if we had bought just regular cheap ass milk that had a whole bunch of preservatives in it and it could sit in the refrigerator for the next 3 months and not spoil? Well, then, are we mad at that milk? No, we're not mad at the milk, but we know that when that expiration date comes, we don't have these issues with something like that to just go ahead and move past it. And I know milk and intimate relationship, two completely separate different worlds, two completely separate different emotional paths there, right? We don't have a whole bunch of emotion toward our milk. Maybe you do. I sometimes can get emotional about my milk. Like I do like the milk that I'm talking about. Like, yeah, that's my kind of milk. But you're not going to have this emotional pain. You're not going to get upset at something like that because we understand that everything has its time and its place. We understand that there is contracts around different things, that there are expiration dates around things. But when we get into intimate relationship, we suddenly have a big ass deal with emotional issues and contracts around the relationship. And then we go, well, I'm really not feeling this person. The sex is sucking. My body is shutting down. I don't really want to go home. We don't really have anything in common anymore. We don't really talk. It's nice to know that there's somebody in my bed at night, and it's nice to wake up next to somebody. It's nice to have somebody to travel with, but, we do better when we're drunk. We have a business together. We have children together. We have a house together. We have debt together. We have this, we have that. They're my best friend. I just don't talk to them about anything in my life anymore because we really just aren't vibing. But, we have a successful relationship. We've been together this many years. We've been together that many years. We've really gone through this. We've gone through that. We're holding strong. I know that if I just keep going right here, like this is good enough. This is good enough. We can just be here like that. And then what ends up happening? A whole bunch of bitterness happens. Resentment happens. Different things happen with different stuff. And it is at the end of the day where we start to fight a lot. A lot of drama starts to pick up, and then we start to question, like, well, why we're always fighting. I know a few couples, and it's like I've told them a few times, I'm like, you don't have to have the fight to have the makeup sex. Like, you can actually just have the good sex. You could be passionate in other ways. You could bring this passion that you have out in other ways. You don't have to fight. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of people feel that they need to fight in order to feel each other, in order to still know that they are alive in the relationship, in order to actually connect in different ways, to be heard, and that is the only connection period that they have. Well, that's not healthy. It's not healthy. There's healthy fighting and then there's unhealthy fighting. And a lot of the times what we have is a whole bunch of unhealthy fighting. It does not get us anywhere. It just expands out the problem. It just brings us into even more of an issue. And as long as we are in the issue and we are part of the problem, we can never be part of the solution. Right? And a lot of the times in relationship, what we end up doing is that we try to push something way past that expiration date. Like that milk, we have it sitting in the damn fridge and we know that it's spoiled. We know that it's time to let it go, but we don't want to let it go because, oh my gosh, that would mean that our relationship wasn't a success. That would mean that we didn't have the courage to stick it out, that we weren't committed enough, that we didn't love enough, that we didn't do this, whatever it is. We didn't have enough patience. We have a whole bunch of reasons and excuses as to why we hold on to relationships that no longer are serving us, that have breached their contract time. And then we end up trying to look for something that the other person has done to push it into deteriorating, right? We need to dispose of it. We need to trash the relationship. We need to throw it away, but we don't want to actually just say, hey, this is not working anymore. I love you. I think that you are a fantastic person. I am so grateful for everything that you have brought into my life, the things that you have taught me, the things that we have experienced together, the doors that we have opened, the things that, all of this expansion, all of this beauty, the things that we have brought into the world. Like if you have children together, it's like, wow, we have brought into life these beautiful angels into our world, right? We have built this business, we have built that, we have explored, we've done all that, but our time together is just not here anymore, right? And you would be shocked how many people where their relationships are just that. And what they end up doing is they start to look for, oh, I think my partner's cheating on me. Oh, I just don't feel desired anymore, so I'm going to go cheat on my partner. Oh, I'm going to start really nitpicking about all the things that they don't do. Or, oh, damn, when did they become so OCD? Or they're such a workaholic, or you become a workaholic. And there's creating that separation, which then creates this massive separation in the relationship, or just starting to not be present in the relationship at all, which then causes an irritation that will form. And here's the thing, everything is energy. Everything is energy. You will hear me say it over and over again. You can try to fake it. You can try to hide it. You can try to manipulate it. You can try to do all that shit. But our energy is our energy. And it is something that we cannot hide from. It is out there. It is all around us. It comes from us without anything else. Like, you can be saying one thing, you can dress a certain way, you can present yourself in all of this woo woo woo, and if your energy is low vibe, if you're sucking in your energy, then that's what's going to be presented. If you're feeling insecure, if you're feeling irritable, if you're feeling a lot of bitterness, a lot of resentment, if you're feeling a lack of desire, if you're not feeling really in love with yourself, if you're feeling a gaping hole inside yourself, and if you're feeling like a victim inside, then you can put a great smile on, you can laugh, you can do all this different stuff, but if you got a whole bunch of shit going on inside of you, then that is still going to be the very first thing that meets the people in your life, especially the closest people in your life, like your significant other. Okay, so it's really important to pay attention to, like, what is really going on in here. And now I'm not saying that, just drop a relationship just because, oh, we're a little out of sync. No, because people get a little out of sync. Is that you or the cat, dear? Okay. You can cook.
I can do some.
Yes. So, you're going to get a little bit out of sync. in relationship, that's just part of it. But when you really feel that it has been, we're talking about months, sometimes years, people will go. I've seen people go decades, and I mean decades. That's an S at the end of decade there. Yes, tens of years, like 10, 20, 30 years. I have a few couples, they've been together for like 35 years, and their only happy years were the first 5. And they've just been existing because they don't want to not have a successful marriage, because their parents were married for 50 years till death do them part. So they feel like, man, we have to stay married until death, or else we're a failure. And they both sit there unhappy, and they fight and they bicker, and they have no life inside of them. And they think, oh, well, we need to stick it out for the children. I love that one. We need to stick it out for the children. And I always come back to, what kind of example do you want your kids? Let me ask you, if you're some of those people out there that are hanging out in the relationship for your children, okay? If you're doing that for your children, then let me ask you, would you want what you feel, that emptiness, that bitterness, that resentment, that lack of desire, that just, I'm just getting through life, I'm just existing? Is that what you want your child to experience? Because I don't know. I want my children to be turned on, happy, passionate, living life, out there and with somebody that they are in alignment with, that they are really hooked up to, and that they are in joy with. Yes, there's some dark moments. I mean, like, my family's going through some dark moments right now. But you know what? My oldest daughter, who's going through some of those really dark moments, hands on, in the ICU with her baby and everything, her and her man, they have the most beautiful connection and relationship because they are really synced up energetically. They are in alignment in so many ways. They have such a deep love and support for each other that they just hang in there and they keep it turned on, and you can see the love and the connection between them. So in a case where if they weren't in alignment, something devastating like was going on right now could really pull them apart. And yes, they have moments where there's irritation and where there's separation that takes place because there's a lot of emotion and there's a lot of stuff that's going on. But at the same time, you see it, at least I see it. I was just with him this the other day, and there's just this look. There's this energy transference between the two of them, and it's because they are hooked up. They are synced up energetically, okay? So their relationship has not yet served its term. Now, there's plenty of other people out there where I've seen, and self-included, where I kind of stink at the whole breakup process. I don't like breaking up, and it hurts. It feels bad. It's not fun. It's not fun to hurt somebody. It's not fun to get hurt. That's for sure. But when relationship serves that purpose and you come into that time, what ends up happening is that as that irritation forms there, if we sit with the irritation, if we sit in the doldrums of not being seen, of not being heard, of not being witnessed, of not having that connection, of not feeling desire, of not feeling love, of not having all that, guess what ends up happening? That's called a toxic relationship. Now you could say, well, it's not toxic if nothing is really going on, right? Like a toxic relationship would be a narcissistic relationship, would be a codependent relationship, would be, an abusive relationship of some sort. Maybe it's physical, maybe it's emotional, maybe it's, maybe somebody's an alcoholic, maybe something like that. That would be a toxic relationship where we're fighting all the time, where we're doing all that. Now, some of the most toxic relationships can actually be some of the quietest relationships. They don't have to necessarily mean, just because if you're not fighting doesn't mean that you're not in a toxic relationship. A toxic relationship simply means that your energy is no longer aligned, and it has not been aligned for a long enough period of time that you now are operating on completely two different railways, and you're trying to force your railways together. And every time you're trying to do this, there is this energy that takes place, this friction, this negativity, and it makes you just push away from each other. Okay? And then that comes out, and then there just isn't the connection. And then what? The witnessing, if you're doing this for your kids, staying in that relationship for the kids. I will come back to that as a mother. I will come back to that numerous times for you. Stay in that relationship for the kids, and guess what? The kids are witnessing and learning. They are being raised to see a relationship that is held together not in love, but out of just sheer determination. And actually, they start to see their parents, the hatred, the bitterness, the frustration, and then they grow up believing that that's what relationship is supposed to be like. So then they are willing to accept that in their relationships as well, instead of accepting a loving relationship, a supportive relationship, a relationship that is strong and based in alignment. You can make food, baby.
Oh, I was listening.
Oh. He's listening to my conscious coffee. So not wanting to cook or eat, whatever. I remember many years ago, this young man's father over here, I'll just use Levi as an example. No, it wasn't Levi, actually my eldest daughter. Many, many years ago, when she was about 12 years old, her dad and I were going through a whole bunch of issues, and we fought like cats and dogs. Oh my gosh, it was bad. I was extremely edgy and violent back then. I did not have control of my emotions or anything. It was definitely, I was based in ego, and we would get into these rip-roaring fights. And I remember as I was doing a lot of different work and everything, and I would come back and from different workshops and trainings I was doing to get a hold of my ego and to learn different things. And then we would fight until like 3 o'clock in the morning, and him and I, we would just get into these nasty battles in the kitchen and just screaming matches. And it was just, we were so pissed off at each other. And I remember my daughter, Sam, coming to me, and she said, "Mom, if you guys are just sticking together for us kids, I want you to know that this is bad, that it's bad. You're not doing us any favors." And I got schooled in that moment by my 12-year-old. And I just remember looking at her in the entryway of our house, and I was just like gobstruck of just like, wow. My 12-year-old daughter just informed me of something that I should have known as an adult. I should have known. I should have seen. I should have felt. I am putting my children through all this misery of their parents fighting until the wee hours of the moment, of their parents not wanting to be together, of me not wanting to come home, avoiding my house, avoiding my family, avoiding everything, because I no longer wanted to be in that relationship, but I didn't have the balls to actually just say, hey, this relationship isn't serving either of us. This is not beneficial to us, and it sure as heck is not beneficial to our children. And the most loving thing that we can do in this moment is to stop the fighting, to stop all of it, and to look at what's the most loving aspect that we can do for ourselves and for this family. And we did get to that point where I came to him and I did say, I'm done. We need to be done. This isn't beneficial. And we did part in a lot better ways than what we were actually married in. We did a lot more fighting there, and we did not part in this nasty battle. There was some words said, there was some painful things that were stated at the end and everything, but we did not find a need to go and destroy each other's worlds. And here's what I'm going with, because I have a friend who just recently went through a breakup, and she did it in a very high vibe way, and I'm going to say emotionally mature way. And there's an emotionally mature way to break up in love, and there is this immature way to break up in love. And the immature way is what we think is normal. The immature way is what we believe is what we should do in a relationship when it breaks up, and that is that we need to find a reason. We need to make the other person wrong. We need to proclaim that we have been hurt and damaged, and that this has happened and that has happened, and we have to get mad. We have to be hurt, and we have to be the victim in the situation to make it to part ways. When we know that there is all of this stuff that we're not aligned on, and we just have to become this victim. And if you look at relationship over and over again, wow, what happens? There becomes a victim. And then there's the other person who may or may not be a victim, might actually have done something, might have not. It's kind of beside the point. One person will always stand out and say, I'm the victim here. You've wronged me. You've done this, you've done that. And we go after the other person. And then what? And we turn into a Carrie Underwood song, and we're slashing tires, or maybe that's Taylor Swift. And we slash tires, and we do all this crazy stuff, and we carve our name in seats, and we destroy physical property, and we slander people's names, and we cry, and we hit, and we do all of this shit. And it's because we don't know how to break up in a mature fashion out of love. But not moments before that, mind you, we will be professing our love. We can profess our love to somebody consistently, and we can say, I love you, I love you, I love you. You mean the world to me. I'd lasso the moon for you. I would do this, I would do that. I never want to see you hurt. I'm here till the very bitter end. I want to marry you. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then we can flip because we're so damn fucking fickle. Us humans are fickle and we don't know ourselves and we are not emotionally mature. And I encourage people to go out there and to get books and do studies on the level of maturity and emotion and how important it is to work on your emotional IQ, because that right there means the world. If you can get a hold of your emotions and learn who you are and gain some maturity there, it's going to make your relating a lot better in all areas of your life. Because if you really truly love somebody, and love does not hate, love does not want to judge, love is not going to try to condemn or just to destroy. That's not love. That is an ego-based version of love. That is control, that is jealousy, that is need. It has nothing to do with love. Love can separate in a mature fashion. I come back to, there was a man that I dated for like 7 years, and it was when I was in an open relationship. So I had my two primary men in my life, and this man, he had and still has my heart in so many ways. I will go to my grave loving this man truly and wholly. And I really truly thought that he was my forever. And, you know, like the depth, the everything that we had together, I cannot explain my gratitude for this man. And we had one of the most romantic weekends. It was like Hollywood, knee popping weekend, like every girl's dream, okay? Whisked away, imagine being blindfolded, whisked away on a plane, not knowing where you're going, taken to some of the best places, best food, best travel, all of this play, all this connection, all this joy. And it was like a heart breathtaking, opening, expansive depth. And 3 months later, literally overnight of us coming back from that trip, our world shifted. And 3 months later, the relationship was over. And it just was gone. It was just gone. And then another 3 months went by, and like we went into this, after that 3 months, we kind of went into like, well, we're going to take a break type thing. And he needed to do his thing, and I was trying to hold space in love. And I would just went on like a sabbatical for myself and decided that this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to support him in his spiritual pursuits, and I'm going to do my thing over here in my spiritual pursuits, and we're going to come back together because I knew that we were forever, right? I knew that we were forever. And what ended up happening was I got an email one morning, and he summed up 7 years in 7 lines. And he told me how much he loved me and that we had had these amazing years together, and he could see another 7 by 7, another 50 years together. And it was perfect and it was beautiful, and how deeply he loved me and how hard this email was to write, but that he never wanted to see me again. And I sat there, and he asked me to not contact him, to not do anything of the sort, to just let him go. And I remember feeling my heart drop into my stomach, and I wanted to throw up, and I was in shock. I wasn't mad. I was in shock, because this beautiful, deep, expansive love that I had felt was just asking me to go away, asking me to let it go, and to honor him, me, and our love by just letting it be. And so I committed to that, and I committed to that I made it like 3 or 4 weeks. And then I drove to his house because I needed closure. And I went to his house to get that closure, and I got the closure. And I remember knocking at his door at 11 o'clock at night and him not being able to deal with me. And we communicated through a glass panel, the little glass next to the door, and both of us crying. And I couldn't even bring myself to say anything mean to him. I asked him to open the door, and he wouldn't open the door. And then I stated some of my truth, and I realized that I was there, and I was getting exactly what I asked for. I was getting truth. I was getting clarity. I was getting closure. And I turned around, and there were bricks on the ground, and there his BMW was sitting in the driveway. And I looked at the bricks, and I looked at his car, and I felt into my heart, and there my ego was like, bash his motherfucking car in, do this, do that. And I heard this voice going off in my head. But when I just paused for a moment, and I really felt into here, and I came back to the man that I loved and the 7 amazing years that we had together, and that the reality was that I had nothing to be bitter about and nothing to be angry about, and that the love that I had for him was what I wanted to hold on to, and I didn't want to destroy that. I didn't want to dishonor that beauty. I didn't want to dishonor that love. And I stood in his driveway behind his car, and I raised my hands up to the heavens, and I thanked the universe. I thanked God for that moment, and I thanked the universe and God for that relationship and everything they had blessed me with. And I took a deep breath in gratitude, and I walked to my car, and I got in my car, and I let it be. And I did not go and destroy his business, and I did not go and destroy his relationships, and I did not go and destroy his property, and I did not bug him repeatedly and beg and plead and be a victim. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff, because I held the love, and I still hold that love for him so deeply in honor and such a cherishing moment and gratitude that's unconditional love. That is maturity. If you can see past your pain and you can get to your heart, and if you truly, truly love somebody, then you can find the beauty even in the breakup. And you can see, then you can move yourself past that. And yes, you're going to have the wound. And yes, you have to let yourself, go through the mourning process. But once you make it through that stuff, I tell you that once you make it through those breakups that really are based in love, and you can move through it, and even the relationships that are not so hardcore love, maybe they're codependent or narcissistic or need based in some fashion, and all that, and whatever it might be, just those addictive relationships that we can get ourselves into, and toxic and everything, even those, every single relationship serves a purpose. And if you can get into a love state with any of those relationships and let yourself not want to destroy what was offered, to destroy the gifts, then you can emotionally be so much more mature in every area of your life. And then what ends up happening is you elevate yourself. You find more connection in yourself, more fulfillment in yourself. And as you do that, what happens psychologically, emotionally, physically even, guess what? And spiritually, definitely, energetically, what ends up happening is that you become more of a complete, solid person in who you are, because you now are solid in knowing yourself. You have strengthened your energetic muscles, you could say your emotional muscles, and you're now viewing things from a much higher perspective. Psychologically and mentally, emotionally, you are viewing it from this higher perspective, because you're coming at it from a true state of what love is, not what ego-based relating is. So, there you have it. Breaking up in love. Can you do it? Have you done it? Have you experienced it? And, what's your emotional IQ is what I would ask you to really venture into today. If you have not explored emotional IQs, then now's the time to do it, because it has everything to do with our intimate relationships, with our love-based relationships, and even with, the relationships with our children, with our parents, our siblings, our friends, and our associates. Everybody in our life, if we enter from that space of the heart center, then what we end up doing is we come at things from a much purer state, less ego. We can hold space for people, and it is a knowing of self, because everything comes back to alignment to the self. Because if we are looking to get our alignment from others, then that means that we will never be fulfilled. We will never be happy. We will never find our joy. We will never be solid in anything in life. That means that we will consistently be wishy-washy and able to be pushed over. And I encourage you to really think about, I believe it is there's an old Chinese proverb. I'm going to make it a Chinese proverb if it isn't. And it is, no matter how hard the wind blows, the mountain cannot bow to it. And that is exactly where we have to get inside of ourselves. We have to all become mountains, and we cannot bow to the winds of time and change in other people, because if we are consistently bowing, then we are never strong in who we are, and we will never call in that dynamic, strong relationship into our life that we all crave and want for. So Okay, on that note, I'm going to let you guys go. I got an article to write. I've got trainings to do. I've got people to see, a lunch date, and all that yummy good stuff. And yeah, and I will catch you guys tomorrow with another Conscious Coffee. You will see in the comments section some links and everything. We do have some events going here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area here in Plano. Addison and I are teaching our final class of 2020, which is our Winter Wanderlust focused on female sexuality. It is a small group class. We only have a couple seats left for that. So if you are in Dallas-Fort Worth area or can make it, I know my Oklahoma people sometimes come down, and Louisiana people. I get people from there, New Mexico, anybody around that. This is the last class. I think that we might only be teaching, this is a spoiler alert, we're probably only teaching one of these classes next year. Typically we do 2 classes, one in August and one in December. And with the way my business plans are going, I am thinking that I will only be teaching one of these next year. So this I do recommend if you want the opportunity to learn about female sexuality in 2020 and just blast into 2021. If you're a woman who wants to learn more about her sex, if you're a man who wants to learn more about female sex, if you are a couple that wants to learn a little bit, how can we have better connection? How can we have better intimacy? What is all these tales that I hear about female sexuality and orgasm and all that good stuff? Well, click on the link in the comment section. Go explore that. Grab your seat, because I think that we only have like 4 seats left for that class. And I haven't looked today, so I might be lying there. There might only be 2 or 3 left. I have no idea. But yeah, grab that. Otherwise, if you would like more information on my coaching, on any group things that are coming up, reach out to me, leave a comment in the comments here, or reach out to me privately in any fashion or form. I am here for you. I love you guys, and I will catch you tomorrow with another Conscious Coffee. Remember, stop existing, start living, and I will see you tomorrow.